This is Peter Cardwell with you here on TalkTV. An absolute pleasure to have your company between now and 3 o'clock. Alex Phillips will be taking over between 3 and 5. But now, for the next hour, we are focusing, well, many issues, but the big one today is, of course, the air traffic control nightmare that many people are having. There are planes in the sky that are taking longer to land. There are landings that are, well, we're going to get a picture from Gatwick Airport very soon. And there are lots of airports right across the country that are giving lots of information about what is actually happening there. I'm just going to go through a few of the major ones. In Heathrow, which is of course the country's biggest and busiest airport, it's advising passengers to check with their airline. London, Luton and Birmingham say they're working to understand the impact and the timescale in which normal operations could resume. Let's hope that's soon. In Liverpool, John Lennon Airport, officials say aircraft can still be loaded on time, but there are definitely some delays. Flights are currently operating in and out of Manchester as normal, according to the airport, but flights may be disrupted, they say. Ryanair passengers stuck at Stansted have told the Press Association they have been told to wait at their gate until further notice. How long will that be? Passengers have been warned not to head to Edinburgh Airport before checking with their airline. Officials in Scotland say they're monitoring a developing situation. In Dublin Airport, air traffic control issues are causing delays and cancellations in and out of the Irish capital. And in Gatwick, which is of course the biggest single runway airport in the world, flights at Gatwick are being disrupted. The airport advising passengers to check with airlines for further information. Well, let's go down to Gatwick right now because Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, who is a TalkTV correspondent, has just got off a flight from Croatia and is very kindly on his day off helping us out because he's at Gatwick. Oliver, you're very welcome to TalkTV. I know we spoke a little bit earlier. What can you tell us about what's happening down in Gatwick?
I think that this is the North Terminal departure section, and behind me there are usually banks of check-in desks, all busy with bustling tourists getting ready to go away on their holidays. That has all been closed at the moment. So this is where the EasyJet flights are meant to be checking in. Every single check-in desk has been shut. There are hundreds of people who are now here, families who are meant to be going on those holidays. One of them, I heard them say, this family holiday is now being ruined. Let's just get in the car and go home. Others have said that the lack of information that they have received has been really, really noticeable. Now, we understand, according to a very high-placed source at one of the regional airports here in the UK, that the National Air Travel Service, which is meant to be in charge of all of the air traffic control systems, is holding a call with every air traffic control tower right now as we speak. Their engineers are working flat out to try to find out what is the source of these technical problems. But as things stand, what it means is that every flight that is meant to be taking off, every flight plan that has not been filed, means that those are having to go through a manual slotting system. Now, at this moment in time, that means that all of those flights are then going to be backlogged. For planes that are coming in, where the flight plan has already been filed, then it means that they will be able to land no problem. For flights that have also meant to be taking off, that have already got the flight plans, that is no problem. But for planes that are due to come in, there is the risk that airports will become full up with aeroplanes, leading to even longer delays. But that's the situation here right now at the moment at Gatwick. The airport filling up and passengers not really being told a lot of information.
Oliver, thank you very, very much indeed there. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, TalkTV correspondent, interrupting the end of his holiday to bring us the very latest from Gatwick. He has just landed there from Croatia, got in safely with a minimal delay, but obviously huge disruption at Gatwick and many other airports as well. Lisa Minot is the travel editor of The Sun. Lisa, thank you for joining us on a bank holiday. This is pretty chaotic for so many people. What's your assessment of where things are and where they go?
Well, it couldn't have happened on a worse day, could it? This was the busiest weekend of the year since 2019, pre-pandemic. And we have hundreds of thousands of people due to be arriving and taking off. As your reporter said, there are still some flights at the moment that their flight plans are already sorted that are still taking off and landing. But every moment it ticks on, and this has been going on since 8:30 this morning. They would have actually sort of tipped onto a manual thing at about 4 hours after the sort of glitch or the technical problems were first discovered. That's meant that everyone after that has to be done manually. And that's where we're seeing these massive delays. We've got people stuck all over the world and here in the UK unable to get onto their flights. And because this is an exceptional circumstance, this does mean, of course, that there's no compensation due, but your airline does have a duty of care to you. They are expected to look after you in terms of meals, drinks, and overnight hotel stays, should that be necessary. And I think looking at the situation as I'm seeing it now, that probably is going to be necessary, because flights that were due to be taking off from places around Europe, coming back into the UK, say 11:30, 12 o'clock tonight, they're already showing us not departing until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So this is going to go all the way into next week as well.
Yes, it's interesting because there's so many people who are perhaps trying to get back. Maybe this is the last day of their summer holiday. Maybe they've had a break late in the summer. You talk about there being no compensation for people who are perhaps delayed, perhaps diverted and so on. What about people who are going on their holidays now? Oliver Whitfield-Miocic there was talking about people at Gatwick who were saying, actually, we're going home, our holiday's destroyed already. What happens then?
It's exactly the same situation. This is an exceptional circumstance. This is outside of the airline's control. So therefore, there is no compensation due. As I say, that they still do have that duty of care to make sure that they're ensuring they're looking after the passengers. But this is going to be an unprecedented situation for airlines. The busiest weekend of the year, the big return back to the UK, and now we're seeing this. Now, they're also probably going to prioritise those longer haul flights as well, because obviously they have more people on them, and they're, as the ones that are already in the air at the moment, they will continue to have to be able to land. If you're on a flight that's, say, 14, 15 hours long, they will still have their flight plan already submitted. They will be allowed to land. But I think really the sort of the short haul flights and perhaps the domestic flights where you've got an alternative way of getting to your destination or from your destination, I think those are going to be the ones that really will start to be dropped first off. Eurostar have already confirmed that they will be put on an extra train from Paris back to the UK at 8:43 tonight, just to make sure that they can actually help in trying to get as many people back as possible.
How much worry is there? We've been talking on my programme today, we've been talking about data breaches in the police, we've been talking about government data breaches. How much worry is there in the travel sector about data breaches, about perhaps a cyber attack, maybe from Russia or China? How much is this kind of talked about in the travel sector? And of course there are safeguards and all the rest of it, but nonetheless, this has happened today. We don't know why it's happened. It could be human error, it could just be a system in error. There is a backup system. The safety issue is clearly being dealt with, Lisa, but nonetheless, this can't happen again.
Well, this is it. I mean, there are still going to be questions asked as to how this has managed to happen, particularly when, NATS would have known this was the busiest weekend of the year for passengers. The huge number of people coming in and out of the country. Questions will be asked, yes, and I think there's every right that they should do. Have we got enough investment? Have we made sure that we're protecting ourselves as much as we possibly can? But we've seen this, over the last weeks and months at airlines and airports across Europe, where we have seen these problems with technical systems and websites going down. As we become ever more digitalised, it is going to be something that has to be taken into account. This is something that is going to be an issue. And as you say, safety remains the number one priority. They have to make sure that every flight that takes off and lands is as safe as it possibly can be.
The travel industry has done pretty well this summer. We're still not up to the pre-pandemic levels, but we're very much getting there. This is just a headache. The industry, never mind the thousands of people who are inconvenienced, very, very inconvenienced by this. But the industry itself, which is just getting back up off its feet, doesn't need this either, does it, Lisa?
Not at all, yes. I mean, as you say, this was due to be the busiest weekend since the October 2019 pre-pandemic. And we have seen, for the first time, airlines and tour operators beginning to report profits again after, those years of the pandemics where they were losing billions. And this is the absolute last thing they need, because obviously, even though it's outside of their control, airlines are now going to have to make sure that they're looking after all of their passengers, putting them up in hotels if that's necessary as well. So this is still going to be a huge additional expense. You look at, say, maybe the fires in roads, that had a huge impact on tour operators like TUI, £25 million hit from making sure that they looked after their customers when that happened. So it's absolutely right that this is the last thing the industry needed.
Lisa, thank you. That's Lisa Minot there. Minot by name, but a giant, a great white in the world of travel journalism. She is someone who knows it back to front and is absolutely the person to speak to on this. Thank you to her for that.